Got to get this lock swung back far enough or it won't open all the way. The detent on the fence is satisfying, locks into the predetermined angles well. Odd angles are a different story. This is a standard base shoe. It measures about 11/16 of an inch, and you can see it doesn't quite fit in there. You want to have the back against the fence to square it up because the bottom is beveled a bit, so it'll throw you off. You can turn it around and cut it the other way, but now it's going to be tilted ever so slightly. Not a bad cut. Of course, inside corners should be coped, but it's a good miter to start your cope with. It always leaves a little wood packed into the groove in the anvil. You have to dig it out or it kind of throws off your next cut. One trick, it's not ideal, but it works when it almost fits, is to let that top edge cut back into the blade. Push it back into it until you can get it square to the fence, and then you can cut it. But here, I'm sneaking up on it. I'm shaving bits off the end, and this is not ideal for that because the blade is tapered on both sides. So it wants to push it sideways, and you wind up with a cut that's a little biased. Not bad for a paint grade outside corner. This is glass bead, a much finer molding that actually fits in the jaw. Not the cleanest cut, but only the face of it shows, so see if we can do a better one. Crushed it, but not in a good way. I have a very tiny power miter saw that I use for this, and I don't think I'm going to be giving it up anytime soon. Let's step over to the crafts department. A popsicle stick. Standing it on edge, it wants to push it sideways and cut it at a bias so you get a compound miter. That's okay for what I'm using this for. I cut bevels on popsicle sticks to use as scrapers when I'm working with lime away, removing hard water deposits around the base of a faucet. Doesn't scratch the chrome, speeds up the process. Still comes out at a bias. If I lay the popsicle stick flat, it slips under the fence. So I have to kind of eyeball it, line it up, but that's doable. And it's a pretty nice cut. That was easy. This is some 1/4-inch nylon rod that I use in my work. Not too bad. Cut it cleanly, even though it's still slightly biased. Can't get a perfect square on it, but that's okay for what I'm using it for. If I use a saw, it leaves a burr on there that I have to deal with. Any other tools mangle it. This is the cleanest cut I've ever gotten on this. All in all, if you understand its limitations, it's a good tool that I'm sure I will continue to find uses for.
This is my product review of this multi-angle cutting tool, and it has a lock there, which is great. And let me lock this while. So it's all metal, and there are various angles. So there's the 0 degree, so flat, and then up to a 45-degree angle. So one thing, and the handle is this really nice rubberized, it's very comfortable. And so let's put this on a 45. Let's go this way. That's easier for me. 45-degree angle. And I've got a so here's just a piece of, it's actually a stir stick, so it's pretty standard, and we're gonna put this in here. So we're just putting it in there, and it takes two hands for me, but it works really well. It's a nice, clean 45-degree cut on fairly lightweight wood. So here's a piece that is more of a composite, and this is pretty common trim. Now it is too wide to do any angling on, but if I needed to cut, so I put it in, this is just a 0-degree cut. I'm going to see if I can get this one to cut. Okay, so it's trying, but I don't have enough. So this type of trim, I can't get it to cut. I definitely cannot get this to cut.
Okay, we're going to try out this molding cutter that I received from Amazon today. It's a low-priced cutter. The way it works is it has just a chopping blade. The guide has detent positions for 90 degree, 22.5, and 45 degrees. And you set the angle you want, put your wood in, and cut it. Now, it's not the sturdiest of devices. One limitation I found is that the maximum size of wood that you can fit in here is 3/8 of an inch thick. So here we have a piece of 3/8 by 3/4 toe kick molding. And if I was going to cut this, I can just fit it in here, and then then I can squeeze it, and it actually does cut it. It does a pretty decent job of cutting. It's nowhere near what you get on a chop saw. I don't know that I would use this to cut finished lengths of molding. I can set it at an angle, and I can cut 45. And it's not easy. Whoops. But in doing that, I probably should have cut the other way. Probably should have started on the shorter end, on the thinner end. So let's do that. Set it here to 45. We'll start on the thin end. And well, you see, that's the result. All in all, yeah, I don't think I'd use this in trimming my house.